Hey everybody, welcome back to class. Hope you all had a good weekend. Now that you've answered the do not question, I want to give you my response. So the question is, if I were a slave who was freed by the Union Army, would I be willing to fight for the Union Army and why? And I want to put myself in the position where I have a lot of empathy towards the people who were living at that time, in particular slaves. And I need to understand that as we learned not last week, but the week before that, when we learned about the Emancipation Proclamation, is that not all slaves were actually freed. In fact, slaves in the North, um, in the border states that still had slavery, they remained in slavery. And in the South, like obviously the Confederacy doesn't follow the rules of the North or the Union, and so they remained slaves. And so the only way that they got freed was if the Union Army came in and took over, right? And so if I was a slave, possibly living in terrible conditions, and I saw an army, a huge army of people, coming in, waving an American flag, freeing us, and saying you no longer um, are like need to be a slave, I think I'd be really, really happy, joyous, grateful, and I think I'd want to give back. I'd want to fight with them, and I think I'd also want to continue liberating other slaves who were not as lucky as me. And so I think I might be willing to fight in this case, even though for the most part I would say, um, yeah, like I'm not big into war. But this does kind of lead into our following lesson, which is going to be about what is the impact that these slaves who join the Union Army are going to have on the war. We're also going to see like what impact do women have on the war. And then lastly, we're going to look at one particular battle, which is one of the most important battles, which is the Battle of Gettysburg, and how does this have an impact on the war.